Well, hello, everybody. My name is Ann Kent. I'm a registered dietitian and owner of Peas and Happiness. And I have with me a special guest. This is Nicole Eichinger of Nutrition's My Life. I stumbled upon Nicole through her podcast, which is excellent for anyone, especially who is dealing with any sort of thyroid disorder, because that is Nicole's specialty. She literally wrote a book on it. So you can check that out as well. But Nicole is going to share with us a little bit about health non-negotiables. That was a post that I wrote last week, which I think is a little bit timely, especially with everything that is going on in the world, just the heaviness. And it's all about how to take care of yourself, specifically when life is busy, but also, when we've got a lot of other things on our mind or on our plate. So I learned about this concept from Nicole, which is why she's here today, because I heard about this first from her podcast. So Nicole, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and kind of your specialty and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, my name is Nicole. I am a registered dietitian as well. And I actually started my career in the NICU, hopped over to dialysis, and then I ventured into my own business. And then I kind of stumbled even further and niched into the thyroid, because that is something that is near and dear to me. I have half a thyroid, and I just realized going to see endocrinologists and different doctors that I just wasn't getting the care that I felt like I deserved, or the answers. And so I just kind of dove in more and really just kind of became the expert in that field of thyroid nutrition. So that way I could help other people that were struggling, the same way I was.
Yeah, that's amazing. I used to work in an endocrinology clinic. And so I saw primarily people with diabetes, but I also occasionally saw people with thyroid issues that, really wanted to use nutrition as part of the treatment. And I think it's so great that there are people who specialize specifically in the thyroid because there's so much going on there.
I think it's awesome that you were able to help people. I got told, sorry, there's nothing that the dietitian here can do for anyone with a thyroid disorder. There's nothing you can do with it. And so that was something I heard from two different endocrinology clinics, that there was nothing nutritionally that could be done. And I was just like, that's a challenge. Challenge accepted. There's always something nutritionally that we could do.
Oh, that is great. And I think the other thing that's really cool, I think, about your practice is that you kind of go beyond nutrition, which is where the health non-negotiables come in, that you are also looking at stress levels and sleep and all these different things, which is a lot of what you talk about on your podcast too. So do you kind of want to just introduce us to what health non-negotiables are and how you came up with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came up with the term. I mean, I don't know if that was really me that termed it, or if I heard it sometime before on a podcast and I had no idea. But it's something that years and years ago that I decided that I have half a thyroid, I have Raynaud's phenomenon, I have PCOS, I have arthritis, I have broken my bones, right? I have a history of migraines. I consider myself a health warrior. And something that I've realized is that being in specific Facebook groups, you hear oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. My life has been completely changed. And that's something that I hear on sessions too. I can't do this, I can't, my body physically can't, I'm exhausted by the end of the day. And that was me at some point. I would just come home from work and legit toss everything on the floor and just collapse in the middle of the kitchen floor, no energy. It felt like I'd just run a marathon. And I was and my levels were optimal. My thyroid levels were optimal. I was this is no way to live, even with optimal thyroid levels. And so I started realizing me waking up early to, run miles and miles and miles, was not worth it to me. I had to change my exercise. So I started to realize okay, I'm not going to negotiate my health, because I still want to be able to do the physical activity that I wanted to the physical lifestyle that I want. I played soccer in college. Like I'm very active. Like I want to continue with an active lifestyle, but how do I do that with all of these health issues? And so I started realizing like, okay, well, I can't run anymore, but I can, I can lift weights a couple times a week and not feel fatigued. I can walk daily with my dog and do great. I can go out in the garden and be physical in the garden and listen to my body, and I can still be active, but I can't do the stuff that I used to do, but I can still do stuff, and I can do it in a way that like felt really good to me. And so I started realizing like, okay, I'm not going to negotiate what I want out of life, right? And I don't want to negotiate how I'm going to live that life and how I'm going to feel. And so I came up with like my list of non-negotiables. And so I realized that like, if I can like look at my entire day and see what's really helping me, like what are my daily habits doing to help me? What are they doing that doesn't help? Like, which ones do I need to kick to the curb or maybe just alter in a different way? I submerged myself into going to different webinars, actually different conferences. I don't know how many different like brain health conferences to understand, to get continuing education, right? But just to understand the brain more and to understand how, like, it was one that was like the brain of like stress resilient people. It talked about Alzheimer's, longevity, just all these different things, and just started to really like realize like, oh, like just getting up in the morning and getting that morning sun can like, help out with your like circadian rhythm, and 20 minutes of sunlight a day can really help out with stress and anxiety, and 30 minutes for depression, and just realizing, wow, like I do feel better when I'm outside. And so I started realizing, okay, I'm minimum 20 minutes a day is a non-negotiable for me. So I'm going to always go outside. I'm going to eat the way I eat because it makes me feel good. And if I, yes, I can tolerate some other foods, but all that long list of issues that I have, like they don't like it when I eat. Way. My body loves to be inflamed. It goes like inflammatory pathways like left and right. And so I've just realized like, okay, if I want to not be, bedridden with migraines a couple times a week, I need to have my walnuts every day. I need to eat my berries. I need to do all these things. And once I started realizing it was an accumulation of not just the nutrition, but it was the sun, the stress, the sleep, and realizing like, oh, we have to look at the body like as a big picture here. Those became my non-negotiables because I wasn't going to negotiate my health anymore. I'm just going to take it back and live the life I want to live.
I love that. I love how you reframed that from like that is so empowering how you're describing this. And I think a lot of times when we talk about like diet or exercise, for some reason, it's oftentimes framed as like you should do less of something. And you're talking about like what do I need to add or what do I need to incorporate? It's like a very positive spin on how you look at all this, which matters. I think it really matters in how you're talking to yourself about what you're putting in your body. And so what I'm hearing you say is that when you're choosing what you're eating, it's not coming from a place of deprivation, like, oh, I wish I could have this. It's more like, wow, I found what really makes me feel good and really makes me feel like the best I can be so that I can enjoy all these things. And so your non-negotiables are fun almost.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I always tell my clients too, is like, have fun with food, right? So get in the kitchen, like when you went out to eat, what was the last thing like you ate that you really enjoyed? Like, how can you replicate that at home? How can you replicate a meal that you loved growing up, but make it healthier for you? So that way, it can like support your health goals. And so that's just turn some music on, have fun with it. And I've only learned to do that because I struggled with my mental health for so long, right? So I've gone through therapy, I've done all of this, and that's something I'll continue to keep doing. I'm not in right now, and but that's something lifelong I feel like is crucial for someone who's had a struggle with their health. And and I've also not just the I've had multiple physical injuries from soccer that were really debilitating.
Mhm.
So like I have massive, like when they're, what I can tell when the weather, when it's gonna rain, like my radar of my arm goes off and my knees like, hey, rain's about to come.
Oh boy.
So, so yeah, you just, finding those things that, like that you have to have that positive spin on things, because if not, then it's very easy to like get sucked back down into that negative whirlwind again.
Definitely. Yeah. So when you're working with a client and like just starting off trying to figure out what their non-negotiables might be, I imagine there was some trial and error for you. Where do you recommend that someone start with that? If they're just feeling, I don't know, I guess where are they coming from most of the time? Are people coming from just like not feeling good at all and just overwhelmed, I'm assuming? And how do you
Yeah.
start?
I actually had a session today. That's exactly what she said. I am just so overwhelmed with everything. And she bought another book. I was like, put that down. We're not reading this book anymore. We're not doing that. That's probably an amazing book, and the author is probably phenomenal, but you're having so much information just being put in. You just need to like tone it down and just like listen to one source right now. And that one source is your body. And so that's kind of what we go into, is like, take a step back and kind of look at your day. I like people to, like when I get on a session with a client, I like, tell me from the time you wake up, from the time you go to bed. Like, we're going to walk through your day. I'm going to stop you and ask you when you pooped. I'm going to stop and ask you like, how'd you feel like after you ate that meal? Did you have more energy? Did you feel tired? Were you bloated? I'm going to ask like how you slept, and how do you feel when you wake up? Because all of this is going to, like, you're going to be able to see once you write your entire day out and kind of see and look at it on paper. You'll be able to pick out, sitting and scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours before bed, probably not the best thing for me. Or, wow, I get up and I skip breakfast. Or I only have coffee. Wow. And you can kind of just see everything out. So write out your day, and that way you can kind of see, where are you showing yourself love, and where are you kind of, putting it towards everyone else. And I mean, if I were to have you on a session or something like that, I mean, obviously I would break it down further, but if for your listeners and your watchers, viewers right now, yeah, just taking that piece of paper out, and what do you do every minute of the day? What are you doing? What are you eating? And just put it down on paper and just see, are you eating, a well-balanced meal? And I categorize a well-balanced meal as like the plate method, where you have, most of it veggies or color, on half the plate. You get a good source of carbs, a good source of protein, and have some room for some healthy fat. That's, to me, well balanced. Is there something missing? Are you skipping out on carbs? Did you forget that fat? Do you not have any color? And just kind of simplify things a little bit like that.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great idea to, visually see everything. And I really like what you said about where are you showing your self-love versus pouring into other people, because I do think that that's, I mean, any caregiver that I've ever seen, whether it's a teacher or a healthcare provider or a mom or a dad or whoever, like it's very easy to sort of put yourself second and everybody else first. And the analogy that I used in my blog was to put your own oxygen mask on first before you can help someone else.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the day. I mean, it'd be ideal at the beginning of the day, but like today I was go, go, go. And I had like 40 minutes before getting on with you that I told everyone, I was like, I've been just like, I need my me time. And I just went in my room and just lay down on the bed for a little bit because I just needed that minute to like just calm and be in my thoughts and journal and do that. And then now I can, come back. And it's like recharging the phone, right? You can't just expect us to keep going all day without recharging it.
That's a great thing too, that you're able to communicate that with your family, because I think sometimes that's the other sort of misconception, is that like, we just have to do this in isolation, but like bringing in other people to help you is important too, or at least to let them know what you need, because sometimes we're just so focused.
Well, and I feel like I mean, I don't know if I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, I feel like our generation didn't get taught that like when we
Mhm.
were younger. It was very much so just like go to your room, like if you were upset, right? And we'll deal with it later or whatever. So we didn't really process our emotions. We didn't voice it out. It was just like you should be like seen, not heard type of thing. Or at least that, like I said, it was very much so in my family. That could have been military uh bringing up too, but that's something that I've noticed with a lot of my clients is that they just didn't get taught. So the amount of people that I'm like, have you seen a therapist? Have you talked to a
Mhm.
counselor? And I was so proud of my client today. She's about to get on tomorrow on her third session with her therapist. And I was
Mm.
like, yes, yes. And that was our recommendation of the last session was for her to do that. So we have to realize that, yeah, acknowledging that
Mhm.
I'm not okay at this moment.
Right. It's okay not to be okay, and now you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I love this. Do you want to share a little bit about how people can find you? Because there's a lot of different ways that you educate people, obviously in
Yeah,
one-on-one, but also in a lot of different ways too.
I'm kind of all over the place. You can find me at nutritionsmylife.com. You can find my book, The Healthy Thyroid Guide, on Amazon. And I am, yay, there it is. And you can also find me, Nutrition's My Life, on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. So, and I'm not very active on Pinterest, but there might be something there.
Perfect. I'll make sure to include some links so that, yeah, everybody can find you if they are looking for someone. Do you see, you're based out of Texas, but do you see clients in other states as well?
I do, but I can't see, like, we don't dive as deep in the
Right.
clients out of state because it's just our licensure stops us from doing that.
Right.
Yay, laws.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I do, and I also have a thyroid course and just a mind your gut course to talk about like the gut and mind connection and everything. So those are more for the people kind of out of Texas
Okay.
to be able to access.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts about any of these non-negotiables before we sign off?
Yeah, just have fun with them all. That don't look at it as oh, this like terrible life sentence that you have to eat broccoli now or something like
Mhm.
that. But just yeah, how does it make you feel? And the last little tidbit is one of my favorite sayings is to remind yourself that I'm doing the best I can with what I have.
That's a great, that's a great reminder. Yeah, we can't always be 100% all the time, but you can do what you can do.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you
Great.
so much for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be on. I appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing to work with you virtually. It's been a joy.
It's been lots of fun. I thoroughly enjoy you. Okay.
Thanks so much for joining, everybody. Take care.